Hey everyone, welcome again to the BATTASS podcast, the Batman the Animated Series show podcast, where we talk about Batman the Animated Series. My name is Clay McCormick, and with me, as always, is Sean Murphy. How you doing, Sean?
Hey man, good to be here. How was your week?
It was pretty good. It's been getting it was beautiful out the other day. I'm not talking about weather. Fuck that. We're here to talk about Batman. We're talking about two episodes the way we always do. Tonight we're going to be doing Paging the Crime Doctor and Zatanna. So or Zatanna, depending on what area of the country you come from, I guess. So let's take a quick break and then we'll jump right in. Paging the Crime Doctor, story by Mike W. Barr and Lauren Bright, teleplay by Randy Rogel and Martin Pasko, directed by Frank Paur. And in this one, Dr. Matthew Thorne, losing his medical license and forced into becoming the crime doctor by his young brother, crime boss Rupert Thorne, must perform delicate surgery on Rupert. He can't do it alone and kidnaps Dr. Leslie Thompson to assist. Batman discovers Leslie's disappearance and rushes to track her down, and has an additional interest in Matthew because he was a medical school classmate of Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas. This one reminded me, did this one give you a little bit of, what's the one from season 1 with the flashback with Rupert Thorne and the other guy?
Oh, yeah, with the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the train. A lot of sepia tone flashbacks.
Yeah, this one had the same kind of like. It's funny that they use the same characters for this, or at least half of the same character, because I believe Thorne is the bad guy in that episode.
Yeah,
so apparently,
it's funny. I don't love Thorne, but I do end up liking a lot of the episodes that he's in for some reason.
Apparently, only the thugs, only the gangsters have room for familial backstory on this show, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this one?
For a kids show, again, like I'm just so shocked that I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was pretty flawless. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't like a top 10 for me. There wasn't like a big set of anything cool that jumped out that I'd want to draw. Like it's a pretty contemporary story. But, you're doing a story about a crime boss and how he screwed over his brother accidentally when, someone got shot and they didn't tell the police. So now he's trying to make up to his brother. I mean, like, for a kid's show, who the hell would think that was a good idea,
Right.
But I loved it. But I'm not a kid. But even as a kid, I remember the part that really meant a lot to me at the very end was when Bruce asked Thorne, his brother Thorne, if he could tell him about his dad, Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, that was fine. But the only thing that I thought during that scene, though, was why doesn't he ask these questions of Leslie Thompkins? She also was friends with his dad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Boom. This episode
I had the same thought.
Sucks. No. I thought it was pretty good. It was, this one and the next one also are interesting because they both have honestly fairly little actual story going on. There's a lot of implied history and stuff that you're not necessarily. I mean, the next one you see flashbacks, but you don't really see flashbacks in this one. And it's sort of a lot of talking around the history of these characters, and the actual story you're getting is fairly straightforward. I mean, if you wrote down what happens in this episode on like note cards, it would be Batman gets zapped in the head, then Rupert Thorne has a heart attack, and his brother kidnaps Leslie Thompkins, and Batman has to help save Leslie Thompkins, and that's the end of the episode.
Right.
Also,
right.
Batman, I was thinking about this because he got zapped in the head and apparently got a concussion.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, man, Batman must have like the worst CTE. He must have like an intense case of CTE. And
right.
No one ever talks about the mental health and brain damage incurred by being Batman, I don't think. How come they don't cover that on this kid's show?
Yeah, he's like a linebacker. Yeah, well, they're too busy covering copyright infringement and all the other episodes that with the Joker and the IP law.
Yeah. I mean, should we mention that the Curse of the White Knight ends with? Never mind. That's too dark. I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah.
It was going to involve Batman leaving a note saying "Donate my brain to science," but that's all. That's as far as I'll go.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Thanks for not spoiling it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's like it's a pretty straightforward episode, but what makes it work for me, I think, is the voice acting.
Yeah.
The scene where the Thorne brothers are arguing, it's such a nice escalation of tensions as they're fighting over what happened, and then they get louder and louder and more angry, and finally Rupert Thorne has a heart attack. Mm-hmm. I found that scene completely convincing, and I thought that the dialogue was really tight. And I think Leslie Thompkins is obviously a great character. I love the woman that voices her. She just has a very maternal, timbre to her voice, I guess. And I think that the closeness of the characters and the interaction, because you don't often see Batman get fucked up, and he sort of hobbles into her office and just collapses. And I don't know. It's just there's a lot of nice things going on here, even though it is pretty much a straightforward episode.
Yeah, and I do like it's another Batman on the sidelines sort of episode where he's not really in it that much. He's not really a central piece of the story. He's just there essentially to save Leslie at the end.
Right. So I do have three beefs with this episode though that I can count.
Oh yeah.
One is Batman gets his ass kicked at least 2 or 3 times in this episode.
Which I see. Okay, so I was going to say I really like that because I don't as much as I'm a person who ascribes to if given enough time to prepare, Batman can beat anybody, but at the same time he's still human. So I like seeing Batman when he's not at the top of his game. That's why that's the thing that I always loved about the Nightfall story when they introduced Bane, is that it's all about taking Batman to his mental limit, and he just can't handle it anymore, and he's broken down. So when you see him in something like this, where he's not the just a unbeatable phantom, but he's actually he's operating in the field with a concussion, and he's not exactly hitting all the punches and stuff. I appreciate that. I like it when they do that.
Well, I can forgive the second and third time he gets his ass kicked because I'm like, well, he has a concussion. He's wobbling around, barely on 2 feet, whatever. But I thought it was funny about the first time. In the opening scene, there's a fight on a bridge, and he gets his ass kicked. And they assume he went over the side of the bridge and hit the water. And they look down at the water and go, no one survives that fall. When literally everyone in this cartoon who hits water survives.
Yes. As we will see pushed to the absolute limit, I think, in the next episode.
Yeah.
And also,
I did like the trolley that he got away on. Like, he just happened to fall on a, not a trolley,
like a tram
gondola
thing
of some kind.
Yeah,
tram.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny that apparently all of the guys in this, all of the bad guys are just fairly generic looking thugs, except for that one guy who looks like a longshoreman. Like he just
he looks like fisherman Gordon's fish sticks guy.
Yeah, and they put a weird amount of emphasis on him when he doesn't really do anything spectacular. Except he does. There is that nice moment at the beginning again. Similar to what happened, I think, in the last episode, in The Man Who Killed Batman, where Batman grabs the Tommy gun. He specifically grabs the gun and throws it away. It's those little details that they give to his character that I really like.
Yeah. What did you think of the relationship between Leslie and Thorne, the Dr. Thorne?
I thought it was pretty good. It falls in that area of a lot of implied history. So you're kind of working on assuming that these characters know each other really well. There was I liked how they didn't get into it because the tension that they give you is actually pretty nice, where she's really kind of angry at him about stuff that isn't totally clear exactly what happened. I mean, he involved himself in some sort of nefarious crime doctoring, hence the episode title. But it's not super clear whether or not it was there was a personal split, or if it was just the fact that he started working for his brother. But what did you think?
Yeah, my favorite line is when he knows that they're going to kill her, and he convinces them to let him inject her because then there'll be no evidence. Mm-hmm. And while they're holding her down, he, instead of injecting Leslie, injects the other guy, the thug, with like a sedative or whatever. And he starts to do the right thing. And his line to Leslie is like, "Oh, he's fine. It's just a mild antiseptic. Like, we've got to get you out of here. Like, it doesn't matter. Saving your life is more important than being a doctor," or something like that. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Now you're thinking like a doctor." And it's just the kind of feisty line that I really like from Leslie. And I thought it was a nice moment for them. I do wish, though, that because when he first comes to her to ask for her help, he has the thugs kick down her door, and she grabs a baseball bat before she even recognizes him.
Right.
I don't know why he didn't enter quietly, just him. And when, he asks her, she says no, and then the thugs come in. That would make more sense.
Yeah, or I was thinking, I was actually thinking a similar thing. Why not kind of split the tone? So it's like he is trying to talk to her, but the thugs aren't wasting any time. You know what I mean? So it's like he's trying to appeal to her and be like, "Hey, it's Matt," and then the guy's just kicking the doors, and he's like, "No, wait, not yet." That kind of thing. So just to set up that contrast between how the thugs are treating her and how he's treating her, because it's really he does approach her very ominously.
Yeah,
it's like, imagine if I showed up at your house at midnight and I was like, "Hello, Sean, it's your friend Clay."
You don't even say your name. You kick the door in, you walk into my office, you pull a picture off the wall, you tear open the back of it, and then you read the back handwriting, and I go, "Clay?"
Yeah.
That's what happens. Yeah,
even
not
better.
A good start, dude.
I should. Can I try that the next time I swing by your house?
Yeah, do it all. I might not stop Simcoe from coming after you. Simcoe's my dog, for those who don't know. So I really had a hard time figuring out what I want to draw in this episode.
Yeah.
And I actually don't even know what I don't want to draw, because nothing stands out as either or. Do you have any thoughts?
I felt the same way. I actually watched it again today, and it's remarkably plain. The most I would say the flashiest thing in it is probably the opening car chase sequence, but even that is like, it's not anything more or less than we've seen previously.
Right.
The villains are fairly flat, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like it's not like the Joker or Riddler or anything.
You don't want to draw a sweet splash of a longshoreman?
Yeah. Just a longshoreman with a Tommy gun. That would actually be kind of fun. Well, I mean, I was like, the most exciting thing to draw, if I was going by like what would be the most exciting thing, it would probably be the opening car chase. Because, I mean, that was one of those things where I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I don't want to say Batman sneaking around in the office again, because there's only so many times that can stand out as the thing that you are really excited to draw.
Or I thought, when he jumps off the building and saves Leslie, that's always fun, because you get to play with gravity and very like vertical shaped panels is always fun.
Let me float one at you and see if this is something that you would like to draw.
Okay.
Leslie's office, specifically her wall with her photos on it.
Not if I have to do close-ups, because one of the things I hate drawing, and this goes for when they look at the old yearbook too. Mm-hmm. They're looking through these old yearbook photos. I hate drawing photos of people in comics.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why is it? Because I'll draw a panel of someone, looking off camera. But if you put a frame around that, shrink it down, and hang it on the wall, I fucking hate that.
Well, for me, it's one of those things. Well, the reason that I floated that as a possibility for you is I was thinking that there's a lot of room for visual storytelling in there, depending on what you decide to put on the wall. It's a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
If you really wanted to get in there in the minutia of it, you could really kind of go crazy. But yeah, it's drawing photographs of people in posters. I hate drawing posters because I always end up drawing them. They're in the background, so you're not pulling out all your tricks to draw a background poster.
Right.
Some people do. You know who does really great background pictures and posters is George Coelho. You look at his background stuff is amazing. He always puts in if there's a photograph of a motorcycle that's like a centimeter by a centimeter on the page, he is going to draw the shit out of it, even if it's just that big.
Right. John Paul Leon does that stuff really well too.
Yeah. He's unbelievable he has a skill that I wish that I had, which is the ability to populate a space with stuff and have it feel lived in and real. I feel like I struggle with that quite a bit because I'm not quite there as far as thinking of it like like the whole piece as a graphic shape, and you kind of whittle away. Right. I end up thinking like, okay, here's a desk, and what goes on the desk? Oh, papers go on the desk. Oh, there's a chair. I'm not thinking of it. It takes extra thought for me to think of it as like as a bigger graphic shape.
Right. Yeah. For me, like drawing a whole wall with stuff on it, that's cool if I have time. Like if it's a splash page, or similar is I drew a splash where Joker has this Batman altar and he's weeping in front of it on his knees because he's obsessed. And I had a lot of time to draw a lot of toys and trinkets and merchandise. Basically, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, he's not looking at a bunch of photos, but you have to take detail and really pace yourself. If you feel like you're starting to get distracted, take a break, come back, because you can certainly make a lot of mistakes if you just dive into these things. So I enjoy doing it if I understand its purpose. Kind of related. I was going through an older book I drew recently, and I won't say which one it was, but I remember really hating drawing some of the pages because they were complicated and hard, had lots of crowd scenes and explosions. And I didn't understand why. Like I felt like the writer was sort of just wasting my time or just drawing, asking me to do crazy stuff because, but I didn't think he had a really good reason for it.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing that stuff. But when I'm writing it, I don't mind doing it because I know that it has a purpose. But if I think it's like masturbatory, if I think that the writer's just doing it for shock value or just to fill pages, it's like I hate that. Like I don't like feeling like I'm being abused by the writer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you draw that stuff as well as everyone knows you're going to draw it, then everyone's going to be like, "Ooh, what else can I get Sean to draw?"
Well, that's the thing, and I might have said this before, but I wouldn't maybe start to want to write my own stuff. Is I felt like I was being abused by writers. I felt like I was the Mustang that you rent. And you're like, oh, yeah, fucking Mustang. All right, 8 cylinders. Let's see what this baby can do. Woo, and you trash it. You beat the hell out of it. You're not careful with it. You're driving it through the dirt, up the mountain, down the side, whatever. And I felt like a rental car that had been abused by people that don't know how to drive it. And I wasn't getting any easy-to-draw scripts. I wasn't getting anything that was like, 10 pages in a doctor's office or people in an alleyway. It was all this. Writers kept throwing crazy shit at me because I think they just felt like I could do it. And I could, but I just got so burned out on it. So like for me, I'm like, you know what? I might not be the best writer, but if I'm a car, I know how to drive my car better than other people do. So I can,
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, if you had to draw a crowd scene, like no one likes to draw crowd scenes, but if you wrote it yourself and if you know the emotional impact that crowd scene meant and what it did for the story and how you wanted to set and stage it, you would be much better at drawing that crowd scene. But if I wrote it for you and you didn't really understand where the story was going and I'm asking you to spend a day drawing a bunch of faces, I mean, that sucks.
Right. No, I've definitely run into that stuff before where, you're kind of reading the script and you get to a thing that's a fairly extensive drawing day. And if it doesn't make sense in the script for the story, it's really hard for it to make sense for me to do it,
Yeah, same here. Yeah, the biggest zapper of my energy is feeling like I'm drawing something very hard and I don't know why it has to be in the story.
Right.
I'm just expected to do it, and I can only do that for so many pages before I start to sort of tap out.
Yeah, I for me, it's when I hit those things too. I actually ran into this problem recently, and I had to remind myself that I'm doing a job. And I have to bring my A game, even if it's not something that I have to attempt to bring my A game, even if it's not something that is like blowing my hair back as far as either the images or the story or whatnot. It's like if I'm hired to do this job, I'm not the writer, and I don't have that sort of input on the story, then I have to kind of like grin and bear it and just be like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I need to give this everything I can give it, because I don't want to. It's not fair to the people who hired me to not try and do the best that I can do.
You're right, and that's what makes you a professional. And a lot of people struggle with that. I think that it would be nice if every day was an inspiration, and every day you looked forward to getting to your drawing table, and the love of the story gave you extra energy to do your best on every panel. But some days you're just a plumber. You're like, I don't want to get under the sink. I don't want to bend over, wrench these pipes and get dripped on, whatever. But I got to do it because I got to get paid. Yeah. And sometimes you're an artist, sometimes you're a plumber. And that's funny because I just finished a page that I was really happy about, of, Batman splash, the kind of thing you all love to draw. And tomorrow I have to do a scene that I wrote where Montoya is giving a speech to the city. So tomorrow I'm a plumber. I'm not looking forward to it, but I know why the scene is there, and I know it'll be good for the story, but it's not going to be my best day. But I'll get through it. If
tomorrow you decide that tomorrow's the day that you pick to, refinish the countertop in your living room, then that's just the way it goes, and that page will just have to be put to the side for a while. The other thing that I kind of learned when I was writing my own book, Dead Meat, is I learned it, and I also used it as a learning tool. Excuse me. Is that if you're writing your own stuff, I feel like you have to. You obviously want to write stuff that you're going to want to draw, However, I think you also owe it to yourself to write stuff that you don't want to draw, because especially where I was in my development as an artist, I knew the stuff that I didn't like to draw, and if I'm in control at that point anyway, I'm not going to go out of my way to put that stuff in there, so I have to draw it, because why would I want to give myself the pain in the ass? So that's why I had to go out of my way and be like, okay, this requires X. I'm not going to write around it because I don't want to draw it. I'm going to try and write it in even more forcefully, because I need to learn how to draw this better and get used to doing it so I don't hate it next time.
Yeah, that's the right attitude, honestly. Like I always will, if the story needs the scene, then I have to draw it, period. And then it's my job to find a way to make it interesting. Yeah. If I can throw a cool car in the background or some cool signage or, I don't know, trees or something, then I can get into that stuff. But, I've never tried to, limit myself from drawing anything, even, poker tables, which we all know I hate drawing. If I wrote something, that is probably the one thing. I'm just going to make it a pool table. But if I ever actually needed some poker in a comic, I hate doing it, but I would have to do it because the story comes first, Yes, yeah. I hear of artists like getting scripts and getting a panel of crowd scene, and they don't want to draw a crowd scene, so they don't. They do a joke, close up of Batman, and you see the crowd way in the background or whatever, and that's right. And the writer just has to get those pages and just deal with it, even though it's not what he or she intended. Too late, it's drawn.
Right. Yeah.
But it never occurred to me as an artist to just nix things like that,
Yeah. And, everything that I just said, keep that in mind when you read my next book, which entirely takes place in mud and broken pieces of wood, so I don't have to draw anything like buildings or cars or horses, because all the horses get blown up real fast. So,
fuck horses. Yeah. So one other thing before I forget, the laser in this episode.
Yes.
it really has no reason for existing. It's
No.
not part of the plot. It's just a laser. And, like, who has, like, a rifle-sized laser for surgery?
Yeah, it's a medical laser that has a trigger on it.
Yeah. I'll bet you that the script came in and they said, this is great. It's very straightforward, though. I think we need something a little bit more for the kids. Let's add a laser.
Yeah.
I bet you that's what happened.
Yeah, because it doesn't play into the story at all. It's not. I don't think he doesn't use the laser to cut out that tumor in his heart. Right? It's just
right.
It never shows up again. Right?
Yeah. If he said I need this laser to perform this surgery, then it would be different. But that's not what they're saying.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do that, because that seems like it would be an easy layup to make that actually make sense.
I know. And the design on the laser is terrible, because it literally has laser written on the side.
Yeah. And again, Batman gets shot in the head with it, and he reacts as though he got hit by a truck. So I don't know what this laser is doing, but it's not. It either doesn't fire a laser beam as much as like a concussive blast that can give you a concussion, or he got partially lobotomized by getting blasted in the face.
What's great is he was dodging laser beams, and it's not like it's Star Wars laser beams. Like, he dodged something moving the speed of light 3 times before he got nicked in the ear. Maybe he was just overwhelmed and he managed to dodge it 3 times at all.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did that.
Holy shit.
Zing.
Holy
shit, I should be dead.
He backflips over it 3 times and grabs the dude, and he's like, "Did you see that? That was so cool."
You're a longshoreman. What do you know about lasers?
I can't tell anybody about what I just did. So is there something in it that you would want to draw? I don't know if you ever settled on anything.
Oh, I might draw Batman unconscious on top of a tram. Just bleeding out, blood dripping over the side. You could do like a pullback shot, like something really simple, like what Jock would draw, just blank background, tram with some cables and stuff, and then Batman with his cape, and just red is all you need, just blood dripping off the side.
Well, Sean, actually he got shot by a laser, so it would have cauterized the wound, and there would be no blood.
Oh,
so.
Damn it.
What
would you draw?
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and say I would draw Leslie's office specifically so I could work on making that a believable, interesting space instead of just a desk and a wall and a lamp, Well,
that's impressive, man. I mean, I respect you as a writer and artist, like writing yourself scenes that you don't necessarily want to draw. That's not everybody would do that,
That's why I'm special.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. No, it's just something you gotta. It's so easy to backslide into stuff that you can draw, and the stuff that you want to draw. That you got to kind of remember to push yourself, because you're gonna end if you don't. Like anything, if you don't push yourself, you're not going to get better. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about this episode? Do you want to give it a rating?
No. Yeah, I'm ready to rate it. I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one that I totally forgot about, honestly. I didn't remember what it was, and then when I saw Leslie, it started to come back to me. But I'm kind of annoyed at myself for not appreciating this one more. Mm-hmm. But even as a kid, I remember liking it, but it never. Like, as an adult, I'm happy to say that it really does hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm on the fence, man, because I like it, but when I think about that other episode with Thorne and his brother or whatever, which this is going to sound really hypocritical because if I remember correctly, I didn't love that episode when we covered it. I see how much story they fit into that. I've had this problem with the last few of them, where it feels like there's room for more story, especially with the stuff that they're kicking around, like the relationships of Thorne and Leslie Thompkins and Bruce. I feel like I wish there was more meat there, other than just a quick, catch and kidnap and save kind of story.
Right.
I think it's there. Like, I think the potential is there, but they just don't manage to get into it. But yeah, I guess I'll go with a 4 because it does deal with stuff that's more elevated than some of the more middle of the road Batman stories. I do love Leslie Thompkins because she probably is the most clearly written and performed character with the least amount of screen time. Like she I don't even think I think we've seen her like maybe 2 or 3 times so far, and her whole thing is very easily grasped. Like the way that she talks to Bruce, the way that they interact, it's very clear what kind of relationship they have.
Yeah.
And you get so much out of how she the relationship between her and Bruce, and the fact that she says, "Oh, I was friends with your dad." That's like all you need, and they milk that, or I should say they've crafted that character and performance really well. So you don't need a lot, but you get a lot out of it.
Yeah, just the fact that she can very casually and warmly call him Bruce as he's dressed as Batman.
Yeah,
and he's fine with it. This is I think the 4th episode she's been in. But I totally agree. Like it's so clear who she is. It's just even the way that she's performed, the voice of the actress. It's just you can see why Bruce really likes her.
Yeah, it's another credit to Andrea Romano, the casting director, and I think I don't know if that's her full title or if it's something more than that, but she was in charge of all the voice acting and stuff, and everybody on this show is fantastic.
Yep. Even when I watch Star Trek TNG Season 2, I know everyone hated Pulaski, but it's the same actress as we said before. But I love Pulaski. I think she's great, and maybe it's because I have a sweet spot for Leslie Thompkins.
Yeah, it's possible. Yes, they are they are more or less the same character. Yeah.
Yeah. A strong, independent woman, feisty, doctor. Actually, they're pretty much exactly the same character. Although only one of them annoys Picard.
Yes. So I think that's going to do it for Paging the Crime Doctor. We're going to take a quick break and come back with Zatanna. Zatanna, written by Paul Dini, directed by Dick Sebast and Dan Riba. And in this one, when the glamorous magician Zatanna is framed for a robbery during her act, Batman swings to her defense. Zatanna is grateful, though a little puzzled by the Dark Knight's commitment to prove her innocence, but the two heroes unite and use the skills her father, Zatara, taught them to expose and combat the culprit, an evil illusionist named Montague Kane. I honestly didn't really care for this. I didn't hate it, but it's another one where it's so light on actual story, and I don't even really know why Zatanna is in this. She doesn't do anything. Like even when they are in the big climax on the flying wing and stuff, she's not really doing that much. She's just sort of there. She punches the guy in the face, I guess. But aside from that, I'm not. And she
has a magic wand that gives off sparklers so Batman can see.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah, yeah. Like in the backstory seems kind of superfluous. Like think about all the other stories that they've done so far. I mean, I guess there's only really the samurai one, but even that one, they go to the trouble of doing a flashback into Bruce's younger life where he's learning stuff, and that is a little bit more crucial to the story instead of just, oh, this is how he learned how to escape things. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
I'm really surprised that you're saying this because during that flashback, when I saw the underwater Houdini trap, I thought Clay's going to want to draw that.
Yeah.
I thought you really would have liked the Battle of Magicians kind of theme that was going on in this episode.
Yeah, if there was more to it, sure. I don't know. It was just like it's another one where if you look at it on a note card, it's like 2 or 3 beats long. As soon as they discover that Montague Kane is the person who stole the money, the rest of it's a big chase sequence. I don't know. And I don't even know where he's going or what he's doing. He's just got a giant plane for some reason. I don't know.
And he makes his living debunking and embarrassing magicians, and he apparently is a billionaire with his own B-35 Northrop.
Yeah, it's apparently in this universe, it's apparently a very lucrative business.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I love the airplane thing. I even looked up what kind it was, and it was a real plane. They tweaked it a bit, but it was cool. I love. He seems like a great Rocketeer villain.
Sure.
But as a musician, as a magician, I kind of think he should have made his getaway on a train, and he had like a magic train car or something that had traps in it or something. Yeah, like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. The first scene where young Indiana Jones is like in the magic car or whatever.
Yes. Yeah,
he makes his getaway, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love the plane, but I don't see what the hell it has to do with magic or anything like that at all.
Yeah, and kind of in the same vein, I don't. The only magic stuff in this is all solved by Batman and not the actual magician. It's just Batman walking around with Zatanna, showing Zatanna what happened. Zatanna's not actually really in the story or really contributing to the story. She's just sort of there.
Right.
And it feels kind of like just an excuse to use Zatanna in an episode. And this is the first, I believe it's the first outside of Batman DC character they've really used. Because she's not primarily a Batman character. Her first appearance was in Hawkman in 1964. And the character, she was on a quest to find her father. And then after they did Crisis, she's changed and stuff. But she's usually much more of a mystic arts kind of character than a Batman villain, a Batman co-character.
Right.
It's a strange choice to choose for the first outside Batman universe character.
I mean, I have things I want to say to defend it, but I'm not going to argue with most of your points. You're actually making very good points. In my mind, this was always a 4 out of 5 star episode, but now I'm imagining if what could be done to improve this episode. And you're right. I think you could do a lot to improve it. I think she should find out or just figure out that he's Bruce Wayne sooner, so that as they go about,
she doesn't even know he's Bruce Wayne. I mean, she knows.
That's what I'm saying.
She knows he's that guy, but she doesn't know that guy is Bruce Wayne.
Sorry. Yeah, no, John Smith. Right. She should figure out who he is, and then as she helps him figure out clues, she figures it out before him because she's the better magician. And then the line can be, you stepped away from magic too soon or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
That would give her more empowerment, more urgency or whatever. And she doesn't have to know that he's actually Bruce Wayne, but just know that they had a relationship together in the past. Like, I would have played that card a lot sooner in this episode.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they're drawing a line at the moment anyway, because they get into magic later in the series, but they're drawing a line about whether or not she's a Vegas magician or like a capital M magician. And in the comics, she's like a sorceress. She's got all sorts of, extra dimensional powers and stuff like that, which they obviously don't go into here. But that would be kind of fun if they had done that. Yeah, but just I don't know, have her do anything other than just be a vehicle for a flashback.
Yeah. I hate that you're right. I guess what I like about it is she's like a little sister character to Batman, and he doesn't really have any of those. Batgirl just isn't that for some reason.
Well, I mean, he's a little sister if his sister wants to throw down and get freaky with him.
Yeah. According to Frank Miller, yeah. But in this case, I feel like Zatanna, she seems like she might have a thing for John Smith, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne.
Right.
But he doesn't return it. He just seems like he sees her as a little sister, whatever. The minute she's arrested, he just rescues her and takes her with him because he just knows that she's not guilty and he's just going to help her prove it, basically, But I like their relationship a lot. But, it doesn't mean it couldn't be drastically improved in this episode.
Yeah, it's just one of those things for me where I feel like it could have been any character in that role. Like she's not really doing much that makes her stand out any more than if it had been Renee Montoya or something. You know? I don't know.
Like, honestly, the better version of this episode, I hate to say it, is in season 4 when you have Etrigan and Jason Blood in it. Right. You want to go full on battle of the magicians. That's it. And that's kind of what this episode could have been But maybe they didn't want to do magic in this version of Gotham. Maybe they wanted to just keep her like a parlor tricks magician.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I think there's a lot in there too. I mean, especially if you've got a character, your villain is someone who goes around debunking magicians and stuff like that. I think there's a lot to chew on there. And I mean, I would love to do that story. Batman and Zatanna, and I would love, if you want to go into things that we would draw, I would like to take this story and do like a 4-issue arc out of it and actually put some meat back on the bones. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. But you love Houdini, as you said before, so I would imagine the scene you want to draw is a better version of the flashback.
No, I already did that. There was an early episode where the Joker put Batman in the water tank upside down, and I said I would draw that. So I've done in this fictional universe where we've drawn all this stuff, I've already drawn that.
Oh, I didn't know we were taking into consideration what we've fictionally drawn in previous
we don't necessarily
episodes.
have to. I'm just choosing to do that. You got to keep it fresh. You know?
Right, yeah. Got to challenge yourself.
But yeah, I mean, just the Batman in the world of illusionists, I think, is a lot of fun because it's all about sleight of hand and all about tricks and deception and stuff, which I think is right in line with the Batman thing. I just don't think they really do much with it here, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, so the bad guy, did he look familiar to you at all? Because I have a theory about him.
Okay, what's your theory?
I think he's based on Orson Welles.
Yeah, well, yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
And his last name is even Rosebud or something, right?
Kane.
Kane, sorry, yeah. So Citizen Kane.
Yes, yeah. And
I'm sure the first one.
The voice is very similar too. It's actually Michael York who's done a couple voices so far.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it sounds a lot like Orson Welles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very well funded.
What's
Orson Welles. He's not drunk.
That plane, that was a real plane? Because I know I've seen that thing in stuff before, but I didn't know if it was a functioning plane or if it was just like a concept that never really flew.
Yeah, no, it flew. There's a few. I mean, there's the Northrop B-35, which had propellers facing backwards and everything. It looked a little different. I don't think it had a full restaurant on the inside with a bar and all that. But then the Nazis had them too. Like the first version of stealth bombers were it created in Nazi Germany, and I forget what they're called. I actually looked it up like 30 minutes ago. There was a handful of like wing only shaped plane designs from back in the day, and even now, obviously, we have stealth bombers which are designed just to look like a frisbee in the air.
Yeah, the stealth bomb. I was looking at that. I was thinking, oh, this looks like the Art Deco ancestor of the stealth bomber.
Right.
Do they even use stealth bombers anymore, or are those antiquated at this point?
The Blackbird they don't use anymore. They do use stealth bombers. Yeah, they're shaped like they have jagged rear ends. The back part of the frisbee is all jagged. If that makes sense. They split up the thrusters to make them flat, so it's harder to trace with heat-seeking missiles, and it's harder to pick up on radar, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like the stealth bomber was a very 90s thing. Like it was in, I feel like it was in a ton of movies, ton of cartoons. Black Hawk Down, not Black Hawk Down. Broken Arrow, that's what it is. Right. But I feel like nobody talks about stealth bombers anymore.
So wait, in Indiana Jones 1, when he's fighting underneath the airplane, with that big bald guy, they're flying underneath a German wing-shaped plane.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. I have a picture of it here. I'm trying to find. Oh, Horton HO 229, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a handful of them. If there's any plane enthusiasts listening to this losing their shit, I'm really sorry. I'm trying my best to get it right. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, again, like I love that ship. That should be like a Roxy Rocket episode. That should be a Rocketeer thing. That doesn't belong in this episode at all, as much as I like it.
Yeah. It seems like it's a fun thing to do, but yes, story-wise, it just doesn't really jive with anything else they're doing.
Yeah.
Again, the villains really, there's not really much there.
Yeah.
It's fine, I guess. It's not terrible. The flashback stuff is nice.
Right.
I think the flashback and I guess the relationship is probably the best part of it.
Yeah, when I think back to this episode, I think back to the relationship with them and the flashback scene. And the plane is cool, but I always forget that that's this episode. Even as a kid, the thing that I didn't want to draw in this, I don't know why I was having these thoughts when I was young. When they're escaping, Batman and Zatanna, they're jumping out. They fall out of the back of a plane or something, and there's this like orange plastic mesh fencing thing that falls out the back, and they manage to get caught up in it as dangling behind the plane. And animating that shit must be a fucking pain in the ass because you have to draw negative space with all these squares on a piece of cloth-like object that's flapping in the wind. And they did it really well. And I wouldn't want to draw that for one panel, let alone one shaded cell.
Yeah. That's when you're like, well, I mean, for this one shot, the sky could be white, and I could just do a black crisscross.
Yeah, I'm thinking silhouette. I'm going to Frank Miller that shit.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that because actually, in the comics, traditionally Zatanna wears like fishnet stockings. And apparently the reason that she did not have them in the show is because it's almost impossible to animate that.
That's true. You could just do a line and then have her wearing slightly darker flesh-colored nylons so it gets the same impression.
That's true, yeah.
You're right. Warner Brothers.
Yeah, this episode's
terrible.
Why didn't you hire me? Because you were like 12.
I mean, I'd rather have one about, corporate espionage or whatever the hell those other episodes were about.
Yes. Oh, so
copyright IP and like copywriting your fish poison.
Yes, trademark law. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I'm really tired right now. If you can't tell, I'm sorry. I'm not on point like I usually am.
Yeah, everyone's complaining. So we mentioned it a little bit in the last episode, but this is this as far as you can push the concept of henchman falls off something which should kill him, but then lands in the water? Because these guys fall. I don't want to, sometimes I have
through the clouds.
Yeah, I tend to exaggerate, but these guys fall like 250,000 feet, I think.
Yeah, it's like they're above the clouds and these guys fall. And they survive. Yet Batman and Zatanna were afraid to let go because they didn't want to hit the water and die.
To be fair, we never see them come back up, so it is possible they die.
That's true. He could have killed them like he did Clayface.
Yes. So, if you wouldn't want to draw the net, is there something in this that you would want to draw?
Yeah, I think the magic stuff is cool. I think the airplane stuff is cool. Yeah, I did a pinup once of Zatanna that came out really, really good. It was just for a commission back when I was taking commissions. Mm-hmm. And it'll pop up on Twitter every now and then. And every time it does, I'm like, man, I nailed that. And I'm not great at drawing women, but the way that I rendered this one commission, whoever owns that, I'd be interested in buying it back, honestly. Because I wish all my women came out that good. And if you go online and just Google my name with Zatanna, you might find it. But every time I try to draw a woman in comics... You got it?
Yeah, I just found it. There's two of them, actually.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's
the one where she's sort of sitting down with like a longer leg.
Yes. Yeah, there's that one, and there's one that's like a bust from like the mid-chest up.
Oh, that's probably one I didn't want to do because I hate busts. Oh, yeah, that one's not too bad. Yeah, no, the other one where she's like a full body.
Yeah. No, yeah. That came out nice. That's a good one.
Yeah, the lips are a little weird. And you have creepy Batman in the background there, but I'm guessing that person paid $100 for that, and they should definitely flip it right now because it's worth a lot more.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting on my Batman sketch, waiting for that price to go through the roof. Yeah,
who would have thought when I gave you that sketch it would have left to endless friendship and amazing podcasts,
which is priceless, right?
Sure.
I think I would like to get. I think you weren't entirely wrong when you said what I would like to draw. I think I would love to get into more of the magic stuff in this, and I think it would be part of a larger thing of expanding some of that and playing around with that a bit more. It's showing parlor tricks in a comic seems like an interesting challenge. because you can kind of cut out a lot of steps, or you can put in a lot of steps and make it really a lot of attention to detail about hand movement and stuff like that. So that would be kind of fun. I think Paul Dini just really likes Zatanna.
Yeah,
because I think he recently did a Zatanna comic. I think it was a Zatanna and Harley Quinn comic or something like that. So
that makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Yeah, I think it might just be a character that he has a fondness for.
Yeah, I could see that. Shit, what was I going to ask you?
And it feels like it's a first appearance, but I don't know if she ever comes back. I mean, I don't know if
she is. I believe she's in JLA. One of the cartoons after this.
Right, but as far as Batman goes, I don't think she ever comes back in Batman proper, does she?
Not in this series.
No. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think the biggest downside to this for me is that there is so much potential, and that they never seem to really fully exploit it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
What would you rate this one?
Well, I was going to say 4, but then you convinced me that it sucks, so I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, I would do the same. I think it's fine. I think it's I've said what I think about it. I think it's solid. I think the action sequence at the end is fun. But story wise, I think it could have been something special, but it's just sort of middle of the road for me.
I mean, wait. So to go back to you drawing the dunk tank and all that stuff.
Sure.
I guess the reason I thought you'd want to draw that is I know you've said the dunk tank thing before, but there's a spinning wheel with knives in it. There's all kinds of magic shit like all around the stage. And they even have like the old school lamps on the stage to light everything. Mm-hmm. Like I thought, forget the dunk tank, but I just thought you would have been all over drawing any kind of Houdini shit.
Yeah, I mean, I would be down for that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, so there. I don't know what that proves.
You got me, I guess.
Yeah, suck it.
I wish I had like a buzzer noise I could put in, like a wham wham.
Yeah. I would drop this mic, but I don't want to break it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's going to be it for this one. If you liked the show, if you'd like to give us a rating or review on iTunes, that would be much appreciated. If you got any questions or comments for us, you can find us on Twitter at BATTASS Podcast. That's at BATTASS Podcast. Or shoot us an email at battasspodcast@gmail.com, BATTASS Podcast@gmail.com. And especially, we've got one more episode left to round out the second season. We're going to be doing The Mechanic and Harley and Ivy. And then after that, we'll probably be taking a pretty decent break between seasons 2 and 3. But I figure we could do an episode. There's not a movie, really. There's not a cartoon movie that fills the gap as far as time goes this time.
Yeah.
But I figured we could do an episode about. I know you wanted to talk about Curse of White Knight. We had talked about maybe doing an episode that was all about the Batmobile. Maybe we'll do a couple. I don't know. But I figured we could do a Q&A episode tacked on to one of those.
Yeah, I love those.
If you've got any questions, shoot us an email, and as we get closer, we'll put out a Twitter call for questions that we can answer on the show.
Yeah, sounds great, man.
Yeah, so that's going to do it. Thanks for checking it out, and we will be back next time with The Mechanic and Harley and Ivy.